recording and I'll just talk loud. Okay, welcome everybody to the meeting about the Community Stabilization and Opportunity Pathways Fund application process. My name is Lori Severino with the City of San Jose, and I am the program manager for this effort, and I'll be your MC for tonight's meeting. So we will have lots of time where we're going through the process and lots of times for questions as well. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. So before we get too far along, I want to highlight that we have Spanish and Vietnamese interpreters here with us tonight. So I'm going to try to speak slowly and with extra pauses to help them out. I'm going to play 2 short videos right now with instructions for how to access the interpretation function.
Hola y bienvenidos a esta reunión. Para acceder a la función de interpretación, haga clic en el icono del globo en la parte inferior de la ventana de Zoom y selecciona el idioma que desea. Para escuchar claramente el audio de interpretación, le recomendamos que también seleccione la opción para silenciar el audio original, que es la opción más baja en el menú después de hacer clic en el icono del globo.
All right, and then the next one here on Vietnamese.
Xin chào và cảm ơn quý vị đã tham dự buổi họp ngày hôm nay. Để truy cập vào phần thông dịch của ứng dụng Zoom, xin nhấn vào biểu tượng hình quả địa cầu ở phía dưới của màn hình và chọn ngôn ngữ theo ý muốn của quý vị. Để nghe rõ lời phiên dịch, chúng tôi khuyến khích quý vị chọn chức năng tắt âm thanh gốc nằm ở phía cuối trong phần tùy chọn của biểu tượng quả địa cầu.
All right, so want to also just point out to you that we have a website created for the Fund Commission. It's up there on the screen, sanjoseca.gov/Fund Commission. And with this website and all city websites, you can read them in other languages, including Spanish and Vietnamese, by going to the top bar where it says select language. And so there's a drop down and you can pick that other language. So the slideshow is posted on that website under outreach events in case you want to follow along with the slides in Spanish or Vietnamese or want to access the slides after the event. We'll also be referring to this website for part of this meeting. All right, so going to do some more introductions here of the people in the room. We have with us in the Office of Economic Development and Cultural Affairs, John Castaneda and Zach Mendez, and Nancy Klein is not with us right now. I think she's going to be jumping in later in this meeting. I want to acknowledge Rosalind Huey, a deputy city manager who's been sponsoring this effort. And also Sabrina Parra Garcia with the Office of Racial Equity is here providing Zoom support, but she's also been an important part of the team working on this fund commission. So thank you so much to the team for being here tonight. Oh, and Nancy just popped in, perfect timing. Okay, so the purpose of this meeting tonight is to assist community members interested in applying for a commission seat. So to do this, I'll provide an overview of the commission, its purpose, expectations of appointed commission members, and I'll pause for questions after that first segment of the presentation. Next, I'll go over the application and selection process, and I'll pause again for some questions. And then last, I'll walk through the application itself. So I'll go through section by section of the application and review the ways in which you can get, I'll wrap up by reviewing the ways in which you can get assistance after this meeting. So we'll then spend the rest of the time answering questions. So please feel free to send a message in the chat to Sabrina if you have any technical issues, and we'll try to get those resolved. We also have a question and answer option where you can enter in questions as we go. And so when we pause throughout, we'll answer them at that time or save them to the end. So during those pauses and the end of the time when we're doing the Q&A session, if you would like to ask a question, please raise your hand and we'll, or use the chat to get our attention, and we'll make sure we can unmute you and you can ask your question. All right. So I'll begin the first part of the presentation now with just some brief background, just to set the stage for the Fund Commission. It started with the approval of Google's Downtown West development project in May 2021. This included approval of a development agreement that outlined up to $200 million in community benefits coming from the project. The mix of community benefits was based on an extensive outreach process from 2018 through 2021, and is focused on social equity, which was a top theme from that process. So Exhibit H of the development agreement established the framework for the Community Stabilization and Opportunity Pathways Fund. Google will contribute to this fund as office buildings are completed, adding up to $154.8 million at full build out of the Downtown West project. The funds will then be distributed as grants to programs serving disadvantaged communities in San Jose. So specifically, the funds will go to one of the two program areas shown on the screen. Community stabilization includes things like homelessness prevention and affordable housing preservation. Opportunity pathways includes things like job training and early childhood education. Both of these program areas could include small business support. So the fund will be managed by a third-party fund manager that's yet to be selected, but it will be guided by this new commission consisting of local leaders and people with a mix of work and lived experiences in the program areas. The intention is to empower residents of impacted communities. So in August of this year, City Council adopted an ordinance that officially created the commission, and it baked in the concepts established as part of the Downtown West Development Agreement into the city's municipal code. So before I move on from this, just want to pause real quick to see if there are any questions coming in yet. I don't see any on the question answer board or chat. No hands raised. Okay. So I'm going to continue on by going to the website here. So I'm going to stop screen sharing the PowerPoint and go over to the website. So if you want to follow along yourself, please pull that screen up as well. Takes a second to move my screens around here. Okay. All right, so here is the web page. So just want to note that section 2.08.50 of the municipal code includes all of the details on the fund commission, but we tried to simplify all of that information on this web page and make it a little easier to find. But if you do want to go in and read all the legal language around it, you would click commission details here, and that will take you to that information. Also at the top of the page are shortcuts to the application section and to information about some outreach events, and we'll get to that at the very end of this presentation. So for now, we're going to look at the membership section, scrolling down here. So just to summarize the key points here, the intention is for the commission to reflect a balanced mix of perspectives, backgrounds, and demographic diversity. At least 5 of the 13 voting members must have lived experience in the program areas the fund will address, such as housing or economic insecurity. These members must also live in an area that is at risk of displacement. At least 8 members must have work experience in the relevant fields. One of the seats may be an academic or research role. And there will also be 1 alternate member who may serve in place of any voting member in the event of an absence at a given meeting. The alternate would be expected to attend all commission meetings and trainings. Commission members will serve 4-year terms. They may be reappointed to serve additional terms, but for no more than 2 consecutive ones. So of the 14 initial members, the 13 voting members and the alternate, half will serve 2-year terms so that there is some continuity of commission members over time and the whole commission doesn't turn over all at once. So we get some staggering that way. So if we scroll down a little bit to the accordion here and click on commission responsibilities, that'll pop up some information. So following appointment of the initial members, city staff will onboard the members. This will involve the completion of required trainings and forms that apply to all commissions with this level of authority. The commission will also work with staff to develop its procedural rules, basically how it will operate and if any subcommittees are desired. The commission will then work with city staff to help select a third-party fund manager. The fund manager will coordinate with the commission to prepare a strategic plan for the fund and to update the strategic plan every 5 years. The strategic plan and updates will be presented to the city council for approval. Following approval of the strategic plan, and once we receive the initial contribution from Google, the fund manager will administer the first grant process in coordination with the commission. The fund manager will recommend grant recipients to the commission for review and approval, and the grants must be consistent with the approved strategic plan. Moving forward, the fund manager will prepare annual performance reports for the commission's review and then for the city council to receive at a public meeting. The commission will be expected to support any community engagement associated with the fund, as well as participate in fundraising activities. The commission will make its recommendations and decisions at public meetings. So if we go down to the meetings, agendas, and minutes section here, we are thinking that the commission will probably meet monthly on average, in addition to any subcommittee meetings that may be held. It's possible, though, that depending on the work plan, that the commission may meet more or less frequently than that. So typically the meetings will be held in the evening, and they may be in person at City Hall or virtual through Zoom or another digital meeting platform. So the city will provide live interpretation in non-English languages and other resources and accommodations to support participation by commission members. Members qualifying for the lived experience seats will be eligible for a monthly stipend of $200. That's going to be contingent upon attendance at the monthly meetings. The alternate would be eligible to receive the stipend if they qualify for a lived experience seat. So once meetings get started, staff will update this section of the website with meeting information, including the agendas and minutes. I'm going to just quickly pause, see if any questions have come in. I'm not seeing them or any hands raised.
There was one question in the Q&A, Lori, but you already addressed it, and I also already answered it, which was at what time will the meetings be held?
Perfect. That is so great. When I opened it up, it had been cleared, so I didn't notice that. Thank you. Okay. So we'll just keep plugging along here. I'm going to now go over the process more before we get into the application itself. So I'm going to close those up. And once we click on this membership selection process, this is a very high level view of how it's going to work to get through to council on this. So we've just started the process for selecting the commission's initial members. We will cover that application in more detail next, but just to note for now, the deadline for applications is October 24th. After that, we will work with the city clerk's office to screen the applications for completeness and eligibility. We'll actually be doing that on an ongoing basis as applications come in. But after the application period ends, a panel consisting of city staff will evaluate all of the eligible applications against the membership criteria, and they will recommend a slate of 14 individuals. We will then take that slate to City Council for appointment as part of a regular City Council meeting, which is currently scheduled for December 6th. So City Council has the final say on who ends up being on the commission, but staff will be making a recommendation. So the applications of all eligible people will be provided as part of the staff report to council. We will redact a limited amount of information from the application, and I'm going to get into that a little bit more in a bit. So City Council may accept staff's recommendation. They might make substitutions from the pool of eligible applicants or direct staff to come back with a different slate. So those are all options on the table for that council meeting. We of course hope that they take staff's recommendation. So the goal is to complete that process by the end of this year, 2022, and we will begin meetings in early 2023. So I'm going to now scroll down to the application process here. So we tried to bold this. We could probably make this a little bit bigger, but to get to the actual application, you would click here and that'll pull up this screen. And so we'll go over that next. But just want to make a few important notes before we do that. So once again, if you're interested in submitting or interested in serving on the commission, you must submit an application through that link, through the PrimeGov portal by October 24th at noon, 12:00 p.m. So we can't consider incomplete applications after that deadline or paper applications. It has to be through the online portal. The application is available in multiple languages in addition to English. To view the application in another language, you can use the drop-down menu at the top of the application in the PrimeGov portal. Note that that is an auto translation, and we have provided professionally translated versions of the application in Spanish and Vietnamese on the website, which may be a good reference for context. So those are linked here. So the application includes 9 sections. We recommend allocating at least 1 or 2 hours to complete the application. You will not be able to save and return to it, so you will need to complete it in one sitting. So that means we strongly suggest preparing your answers somewhere like Microsoft Word or Google Docs, and then copying them into the application once you have all the information compiled. So please be aware of the character limits though for the writing questions. If you're going to prepare it in a different platform and copy it in, just make sure you're not going over those limits. And also make sure to receive confirmation of submittal before you sign off. So if your application is incomplete, you will receive an automated email. In this case, you can resubmit a new application addressing the issues from the original submission. So if you got a bounce back email that says your application was incomplete or ineligible and you are interested in resubmitting, you could contact the clerk's office to get more information about why it was rejected. And then you would have to go back in and re-enter all your information. Okay, I'm going to do another quick pause here. Sabrina, help me out if there's any additional questions or panelists, people raising their hands. Not seeing any. Okay. So I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to move over to this tab where I clicked on apply here. So this is what you see when you click on the application itself, where you can change the language if you want. So this introduction section provides an orientation. This is all information we've already gone over, so I'll gloss over that for now. But once you get down to here, for the first question is entering your name and then which seat type you are applying for. And note that you can apply for more than one seat type. Residency is not a requirement to serve on this commission, but commission members must either live in San Jose or have a meaningful connection or a history of working in San Jose in the relevant subject areas, with the possible exception of one academic or research role that may be a statewide or national person. So if you select other for your connection to San Jose, there's a write-in box here where you will explain what meaningful connection you have. So the next section is your contact information. Place of work is especially important if you're applying for a lived experience seat and you're not a San Jose resident. You'll want to show where your place of business or where you work being located in San Jose, and we'll look at the maps to see if you qualify for the geographic criteria related to the lived experience seat. So technically that means being in a census tract categorized as high risk or undergoing displacement by the Urban Displacement Project or another credible source. So that's the legalese, but we'll do that checking on our end. We do encourage everyone who thinks they qualify for a lived experience seat to apply, and we will do that check on our end. But we will need, the commission must have 2 members that are affiliated with East San Jose and 1 affiliated with the greater downtown area. So this contact information is where we'll do that validation. And then once you get down to experiences and qualifications, this is getting really into the heart of the application. They're very important writing questions that we will use to evaluate the application against the criteria. So please make sure to answer the optional questions that are relevant to the seat type you're applying for. And then once we get down to commission questions here, these are also very important. They're for demonstrating your understanding of the role of the commission and your desire to serve on it. So I'll write in questions with a character limit of 1,500. And then in terms of references, here we are asking for the names and contact information for 2 people who are familiar with your experiences and interest areas. We need 2 short statements, 1 from each of them. And so this is one part of the application where you will really want to plan ahead before filling out the application. So we're almost to the end here. But this section called expectations is a summary of the time commitments and rules that are applicable to the commission. We all went over most of this already. Note though that question number 29 asks you to review several city policies intended to promote fair, transparent, and ethical behavior expected of all people serving on our boards and commissions. So you'll want to check that you understand and accept these rules and expectations. Checking no on question 28, 29, or 31 in the next section will cause your application to bounce back as ineligible. You don't have to check yes to the COVID vaccine question, number 30 here, but note that it is city policy for all members of boards and commissions to be up on the COVID vaccine or get an approved exemption. So going down to conflicts of interest here, this section asks for information that the city attorney's office will utilize in a conflict of interest analysis. This assesses the likelihood of significant conflicts that could affect your ability to participate in the commission's decision making. And that's because there are state and federal laws or state and local laws that require people to abstain from participating in decisions that may impact their financial interest. So the staff may utilize that analysis when making their recommendation on the slate for council's consideration. And the attorney's analysis will also be included as an attachment to the staff report. So it will be public information, at least the conclusions that they draw. Also, people appointed to the commission will be required to submit a statement of economic interest, which is also known as the Form 700. This document will be public on our Form 700 website. It'll cover similar things as the question in this section here of the application, but it will go into more detail and cover more things. But basically, it's things like property ownership and sources of income. So just a reminder that checking no to this question will make your application ineligible. So going down to the next section on demographics here. So we think it's important to note that the commission is intended to reflect the diversity of San Jose. However, filling out the demographic information in this section is voluntary and optional. Individual responses to these questions will not be included in the applications provided to the council, but we do intend to combine all the data from all the applications and share that compiled data with the council and the public. So just to be clear, individual responses here will not be shared publicly. But tracking the demographic representation of our advisory groups is important for understanding trends, and we really appreciate responses to this section. So last one here, all the way at the bottom. This is the last thing you need to do is check that you agree here. That's attesting that your application is true and accurate. It also is a reminder about what information is being made public. So staff will provide the applications for all eligible people to City Council as part of the staff report. So that means it will be made public. But in addition to redacting the responses to the demographic section, we will also redact personal contact information like your address, email, and phone number. So also at the very bottom, there's an option to attach up to 3 things such as a resume. We do ask that if you provide any other documentation that you limit the total number of pages to 10. So after you submit your application, staff may verify the information and ask you to clarify, information or ask you to provide additional information. So given our tight turnaround to get to City Council in December, we do request that any of these kinds of requests you respond to in a very quick manner. So that'll help us out a lot. So before we open up to questions, I just want to quickly review some options available to you if you need help after this meeting. First, you can reach out to the staff listed at the bottom of the website here by email or phone. And also, if you click on this link here, it takes you to a flyer. The webpage has all this information too, but we're offering several events at local libraries. At these events, we'll have computers and staff that can help you access and complete your application. We're not going to be able to help you directly with your specific responses to the writing questions, but we can answer basic questions about the process and help with any technical issues. So you can drop by at any time during these windows. They are free. They're free events, so no need to register. The first of these events is going to be Saturday, October 8th. So this Saturday at 10 a.m. at the Tolley Library. And so we're also offering at 3 of these events, there'll be staff that speak Spanish. So if you need help in Spanish, you would want to go to one of these 3. And at 2 of the events, there will be Vietnamese speaking staff. for these events, the Tully one and the one on October 20th. All right, so I did a lot of talking, and I'm really hoping we can open up the discussion here to see any more else. I do see there was a lot of chat activity. Sabrina, do you want to summarize?
Sure.
Thanks.
So we got a question. The first question was from, I have to scratch up here. I think it was from Sketch, asking about whether this meeting was being recorded and sort of how to find that recording. So I responded saying that we are recording in all 3 languages, and it will be on the commission website, which I provided the shortcut for. It's right there, www.sanjoseca.gov/fund-commission. And I also explained that the PowerPoints that you used earlier, because I believe Sketch probably missed that, are also on that section. And there you are. Lori's bringing it up for everyone to show. And there's the outreach event section.
Yeah.
So they're there. And then Sketch had a second question, which was about getting an approved exemption for the COVID vaccine. So I explained that we have a process for that at the city, and if Sketch was selected, then that would be something that the city clerk's office could help them work through the Office of Employee Relations process for that.
Awesome. Thank you for that summary, Sabrina. And Pamela, I'm going to allow you to talk there. Can you unmute yourself, Pamela?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So my question, I have 2. The first one is just to clarify my understanding of what the purpose of serving on this commission will be. So it's to kind of guide the direction of how funds will be allocated. It has nothing to do with the development going on in the Google land.
Yes, that is a really good summary. So the fund, it will be citywide. It is not going to be limited to activities happening in the Diridon area. And it's not a commission that will guide the activities of the Downtown West project. So we have other pathways for the public to be involved in the design and construction aspects of it.
Okay, awesome. And my second question is just to confirm that non-citizens can apply to this commission.
Yes, I think they can. I know that I'm trying to think of what kind of limitations might be out there on that. I will say if people want to get the stipend and they're eligible for it, they do need to fill out a W-9, which does require a social security number. So
or an I-10, right?
Or a what?
Or an I-10.
Well, I think we'll have to look into that a little further.
Okay. Okay. Those are my 2 questions. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Pamela. Any other questions? All right. Thank you for listening. There's a lot of talking, but hopefully it was helpful to just hear us walk through all the details of this. And just wait a little bit longer, see if anything else comes in. All right. Well, I think we've answered all the questions for now, but please feel free to contact us after this if anything else comes up. As mentioned, we'll be posting the recordings to the website as soon as possible. It might be Monday, but hopefully we can get them up tomorrow. And Yeah, thank you to the staff and the interpreters for all your support on this meeting. It'll be a good resource for the rest of this application period. So thanks all.
I'm sorry, Lori, can I ask one more question?
Yep.
Are there any limitations to how the funding can be spent?
Yeah, so the limitations will be based on the strategic plan. So one of the first tasks that the commission will help with is preparing that strategic plan. The fund manager will be responsible for it, but they need to do a lot of coordination with the commission, and there'll be community engagement around that. And then they'll take the, we'll work with them to take the strategic plan to city council for approval. So that'll provide the policy direction for how the funds can be spent. And then from there on, the grants will have to be consistent with that plan.
Okay, and the strategic plan is developed with the commission.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and the only other parameters are really that it needs to fall in line with the community stabilization and opportunity pathways themes. And I believe the first tranche of grants there, we want it to skew a little bit more towards the community stabilization. I'm forgetting the exact percentage, but that is baked into the development agreement. But so there's some parameters, but it's very high level at this point, and there's a lot of details to still figure out.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for your questions. Very, very great questions to answer now. All right, I think we will wrap up. Thank you all again. I'm going to stop screen sharing, and you can stop the recording.